Hello everyone, I wanted to talk to you about the thyroid gland and how it produces thyroid hormone. So here in this picture, you can see a very close-up view of the thyroid gland, and it's focused on one of the follicles. When you look at the thyroid gland, it's made of many of these follicles. And so you can see these cells that border this large circular area. These are your follicular cells. So this entire thing right here and everything in the middle is all one follicle, and there are many of these in the thyroid gland. The cells that directly border this circular structure are called follicular cells. These are the cells that are responsible for producing thyroid hormone, both T3 and T4. And this part in the middle is the colloid. The cells that do not directly border a follicle, like you see over here off to the side, that aren't specifically part of the border of the follicle, these are called parafollicular cells. Para means next to, so literally these are just cells that are next to the follicle. And these cells do not produce thyroid hormone. Instead, they are the ones that produce calcitonin, involved in calcium homeostasis. But we're going to focus on the follicular cells, these cells that border the follicle, and we'll also discuss the colloid in the middle of it. So here is a picture that zoomed in on one of these follicular cells. So if you look at this picture over here, here's the colloid, here's your follicle, the follicular cells surrounding the colloid. Here you can see a very good blood supply. When you talk about pretty much any of the endocrine glands, you're going to see really nice vasculature. And that's because whatever product, whatever hormone is made by the endocrine gland, it needs to have quick access to the blood supply so that the hormones can get where they need to go. So really good blood supply in your endocrine organs. So we're focused on one of these follicular cells, and that's what zoomed in down here. So you can see the basal side of this cuboidal cell. So this is a great example of simple cuboidal epithelium. The basal side has direct access to this capillary right here. And the capillary is where you're going to find iodide. And this is just what we get in our diet. It's the reason our salt is iodized. You don't need a ton of it, but you do need some in your diet. And so this iodide is just obtained from the diet, and as we absorb our food, so that iodide makes its way into our bloodstream, that iodide is actively brought into this follicular cell right here. And so this is active transport. These follicular cells are actively going to recruit this iodide. So it's brought in, and you see some of these organelles here from any normal cell that you'd see. You've got rough ER, which is rough endoplasmic reticulum, and then here's your Golgi apparatus. And these are responsible for creating protein in the rough ER. So you can see thyroglobulin is a protein that's synthesized. And then it's packaged up and sent out thanks to the Golgi apparatus. So you see these vesicles from the Golgi apparatus are sending that thyroglobulin, which is a protein, out into the middle of this follicle, into the colloid. So this yellow space over here, this is all the colloid that's on the inside of the follicle. So you make your thyroglobulin, you move it into the colloid. You'll notice that if you look at your iodide as well, it has made its way all the way through the cell, and it is moved into the colloid as well. And here it's oxidized, so it's no longer iodide, but it's now oxidized into iodine. And then you're going to have tyrosines, which are part of your thyroglobulin that we made back here with the rough ER and sent by the Golgi. The tyrosines are going to combine with your iodine. Now, depending on how many iodines you attach, that will determine what you call the resulting structure. If you add one iodine, here in the blue dots, to a tyrosine, you have monoiodothyronine. And that just means monoiodo means one iodine. And then thyrronine is referring to this tyrosine part of your thyroglobulin. So one MIT, you've got one iodine, monoiodothyronine. If you add another one and you stick two iodines on a tyrosine, then that's diiodothyronine, di meaning two. Now you are going to link these two guys together, DITs and MITs. If you have an MIT, a monoiodothyronine, and a DIT, diiodothyronine, then that gets you T3. And T3 is triiodothyronine. And if you count, you can see 1, 2, 3. So tri is just referring to the 3 iodines that you have on these tyrosines. So that's T3. This is one of your thyroid hormones. The other thyroid hormone that you can make is T4, and the 4 is for 4 iodines that are attached to your tyrosines. And so it is called sometimes tetra meaning 4, tetraiodothyronine, but the much more common name that it's called is thyroxine. So T4 is thyroxine, and T3 is triiodothyronine. Most of the time, your follicular cells will be making thyroxine, that T4. 90% actually of the product is going to be T4 and not so much T3. Interestingly though, the T3 is actually more potent, and you end up converting some of your T4 to T3 later on down the line. So T3 and T4 are made. Both of these are thyroid hormones. And then they're packaged up. You can see some endocytosis going on right here. It's brought into this follicular cell, packaged up with a lysosome. Lysosome is an organelle found in your cells. It has digestive enzymes in it. And you can see after you have this vesicle with your T3 and T4 merged with your lysosome, you've gotten rid of some of that excess colloid that was hanging on. So you can see this yellow stuff that's here in this picture is gone when we look at this vesicle. So it just gets rid of that extra colloid. So the only thing that you're actually releasing into the bloodstream is T3, your triiodothyronine, and your T4, thyroxine. And so those can just diffuse into your bloodstream. And now T3 and T4 are both ready to go throughout the body and perform their functions. And the main functions of thyroid hormone are to increase your metabolic rate. And so in doing so, you're going to see an increase in your oxygen consumption, increase in heat production. It does have that calorigenic effect. An increase in your respiration rates, increase in your heart rate. You're going to be hungrier. You're using more energy with that increase in your metabolism. So it stimulates your appetite. It's also going to stimulate the breakdown of any energy storage molecules. So carbohydrates, fats, and proteins will start being broken down more easily so you can use them for fuel. You'll have a stimulation of bone growth, skin, hair, and nail growth. So growth stimulation, you see thyroid hormone often working alongside growth hormone, providing growth in your body. You'll see this often working alongside growth hormone. But primarily when I think about thyroid hormones, I think about an increase in metabolism and everything that goes along with that.